o'clock, but I stopped at 4:59.
All right, welcome to the Young Turks. Got a great show ahead for you guys. Listen, a little later in the program, teachers who were hookers, should they be punished? Furthermore, J.R. Jackson and I were involved in a championship game. How did that turn out? That's a fun story. Okay. It revolves around championship point. At least it does in my mind. Glenn Beck believes that 10% of all the Muslims in the world are terrorists. We'll do the math for you a little bit later in the program. And then we have a couple of great guests, one on WikiLeaks, a really strong and interesting interview for you guys in the third hour. Plus, can I tease it, Anna, or no? I think Richard Wolff's going to be out in the studio. So that'll be fun. And he's the perfect guy to talk to today because we're going to talk about Obama, is he weak, et cetera. Richard, of course, has written a couple of books about Barack Obama, has incredible access to him, and we will discuss that. And a little later in this hour, one of the worst pieces of journalism ever recorded by mankind. I will absolutely shred it. Okay, so that's coming up. That was in the New York Times. Now let's start with the big issue of the day. So if you remember, last week I was a little angry that Barack Obama had decided that he was going to capitulate / compromise, depending on how you look at it, with the Republicans again. Now, as we showed you, Pat Buchanan, as an example, thought it was not really a compromise. He laughed and laughed, thinking what an absolute and complete victory it was for the Republicans. And he, in fact, called it game, set, and match if Obama agrees to this. Now, at the end of all of this, I'm going to tell you whether he did or not, according to the latest news reports, okay? But first, let's find out what has happened since then. So, if you saw Friday's show, I was a little heated, right? And then over the weekend, I continued to be heated, and I wrote an article called, "Is Barack Obama Stupid?" Now, of course, some of the people at Daily Kos lost their poop over it. Okay, they're why did he call him stupid? This is our beloved Obama. How could you do this? I'm sorry if I took the president's name in vain. Not sorry at all. But an interesting thing has happened since then. Conventional wisdom has swung completely and utterly in my direction. So I went from the crazy guy, how dare he call the president stupid and weak, to, oh man, that guy is so right. Now, here's the number of people that have weighed in on this so far. Frank Rich wrote an article about how the president is suffering from Stockholm Syndrome. He put that up on Sunday, saying the Republicans have captured him, and even when they do him tiny little favors, he's like, oh my God, my captors have given me a glass of water. They are so kind. What else can I give them? Okay, and they've essentially taken the middle class hostage and say we won't give them the tax cuts unless you give our rich friends the tax cuts, and Obama's fallen for this hook, line, and sinker. Rich goes on to quote a great number of polls on several different issues on how the American people were completely on Obama's side, Democratic side, even right before the election, a week before the election, for example, on deficits. But since Obama never makes his case, he then gives in to the Republicans, even though he's got the people with him, if you look at the polling. And after a while, after the Republicans batter this day after day after day, and Obama never, ever, ever, ever opposes them, sometimes the polls even shift, and people go, I don't know, I thought jobs were 100 times more important than deficits because I don't have a job, but I don't know, everybody on television is telling me that the deficits are more important, and then the polls tighten up a little bit. And then, of course, Obama gets even more scared. He's like, oh, my God, the polls tightened up. I got to run. Okay. You can tell, if anything, over the weekend, I've become even more convinced that we have a very sad and weak president. It's reached a tipping point, okay? And it's actually, it's not fun. It's a terrible situation that we find ourselves in. And I don't like feeling like this about the president, and because if you lose hope, that's a terrible thing, man. We're on the precipice. So now we go after that on Monday. Paul Krugman writes an article saying, don't make a deal. Don't do it. He said, well, look, what are they holding hostage? They're saying, oh, well, we won't pass the middle class tax cuts. He's like, look, so what? Okay, this is what I've been saying. First of all, if that's the case, then that's not the end of the equation. This is not the last vote the Senate will ever take, okay, or the House will ever take. You come back and you fight him the next day. And you might actually win that fight if you made your case and you said, hey, listen, I wanted the middle class tax cuts. We already passed that bill. We passed it in the House, and in the Senate, the Republicans filibustered, otherwise it would have passed. We've got the middle class tax cuts. The Republicans are filibustering it. How much clearer is it as to who's preventing the middle class tax cuts? And then you fight, and then you'll be shocked to find out that you might even win later. So Krugman makes that article point, and then, but in the meanwhile, both of these guys and others I'm about to give you are all beginning to whisper, this guy is just way too scared. And they are coalescing around the idea that we talked about on Friday, we've talked about for a long time, but remember the choices as to why you would do something so painfully stupid as to go along with the Republicans' plan for tax cuts for the rich when at the very least 67% of the country is against it. Either you're stupid and you can't read polls and you're like, what is it? What? Oh, no, Republicans. Or number two, you're scared. Or number three, you're complicit. We think the most likely answer is that the president is weak, right? And what it really is, I think that the principal idea here that people are finally catching on to is that the president hates conflict. And in fact, there was an insider in one of these articles that said, look, one of Obama's traits is conflict avoidance. He just does not like conflict, and he wants to avoid it at all possible. And how do you avoid conflict? If the other side is causing a conflict, you give them what they want, and then the conflict ends. Oh, that's so sad. And here is the end of Krugman's article. He says, yes, letting taxes go up would be politically risky, but giving in would be risky too, especially for a president whom voters are starting to write off as a man too timid to take a stand. Now is that time for him to prove them wrong. I will tell you how that's going to turn out in just a little bit, because we do have the latest that we just got right before the show began. All right, now, third guy on the warpath, Bill Maher. He's on with Fareed Zakaria over the weekend. Listen to what he has to say. Let's go to clip number 3.
Obama, how do you think he's responded to the shellacking so far?
He looks beaten down. That's what disturbs me. You know, I thought when we elected the first black president as a comedian, I thought 2 years in, I'd be making jokes about what a gangster he was, you know, and not that he's President Wayne Brady, you know.
Ouch!
We were
oh, no!
And, you know, for him to be talking about compromising with the Republicans on the Bush tax cuts, where are they going to draw a line in the sand? When are they going to remember who they are? I'm so disappointed, and I still like him and still think there's hope he could get it yet, but I'm so disappointed that he just seems to be another in a long line of Democrats that come across as wimpy and wussy and whatever word you want to ascribe to it, of not standing up for what they believe in enough. The Republicans seem to continually stake out a position further to the right and then demand that the Democrats meet them in the middle. Except that that's not the middle anymore. Yeah. That's the near right.
He's only 100% right. The people who have ascribed the words wimpy and wussy to the president is right here, me. Okay? But I got to be honest, I hadn't thought of that analogy before. President Wayne Brady. That is disastrous. You know what's the worst part about it? It's disastrously accurate. Does President Wayne Brady have to choke a bitch? Please make that happen. Okay. People, don't take that seriously, all right? Just calm down. All right. Now, people are weighing in. Now, we don't have the clips ready because we just sent in by one of our viewers, Kevin Shields. I think the most important development, hopefully we'll get it ready either a little later in the hour or maybe in the third hour, is, are you ready for this? Morning Joe has shifted. Morning Joe has shifted. Joe Scarborough this morning saying, no, the president is weak. He's crazy to make this deal with the Republicans, using the exact same words I did. Unilateral disarmament. saying, even as a Republican, I can't believe how much he has conceded to us. And he's like, this has got to hurt the president. Is he ever going to fight? Now, and then it's not just Joe Scarborough, wow, it's the conventional wisdom. All around the table they went, and John Meacham from Time Magazine, oh yeah, too timid, too scared, he's got to fight at some point. They brought in D.D. Myers, he's got to fight at some point, too timid, too scared. And then, of course, the only holdout, Mark Halperin. He's like, no, he can't, he should never fight. He has to do this. Of course. But the reason why that's so important is that's it. He's lost conventional wisdom. Conventional wisdom has officially shifted. Okay. Now you know the president ain't gonna listen to us. Okay. If he sees us criticizing him, he's like, oh, liberals, progressives. Hell no, I'm not gonna listen to you. But if Morning Joe has shifted, and John Meacham has shifted, and all those guys have shifted, I mean, that's in the main vein of the White House. They're like, oh my God, John Meacham just said, I'm scared, I should fight. I am going to fight! I hope, hadn't happened yet. God, what'll be amusing is the fake fights that come now in order to respond to the criticism he's getting in the Washington media. That's going to be great. Okay, because you know why? We're going to get suckered too. I'm going to say, look, it's probably a fake fight, but you know what? I'm happy he's doing it. I'm telling you right now what I'm going to say, okay? And then we're going to find out, schwang, wang, wang, it was for posturing. And of course, Halperin and the others were like, well, it's important how he, if he does this compromise with the Republicans, how he frames it. In other words, who cares if the policy is terrible and you're getting hosed? As long as he frames it right, then everything's going to be okay. Meanwhile, believe it or not, along with the excitement of that shift, is some Democrats who are willing to fight. Tom Harkin, now he's more progressive, so it's not that surprising, but it's surprising that almost anybody will fight outside of Bernie Sanders and Franken a little bit, right, on these issues. But Harkin's like, hey, you know what? Maybe we'll let the tax cuts expire. And then, get a load of this. Again, Harkin's not that important, unfortunately, because he's considered a progressive, right? Progressive, right? Schumer of New York is saying, hey, maybe we should let the tax cuts expire. They want to have a battle. Let's have at it, Hoss. Uh-oh. Don't get too excited. So then another one of our listeners, Colonel Bob Gross, emails me today and says, hey, wait a minute, can't the Democrats filibuster this, right? Can't we flip it on them and go, well, no, we don't agree to the deal. The president can go ahead and play his patty cakes with the Republicans all day long, but he's got to pass it in Congress, we're Congress, and we say no, right? They don't need 60 senators, all they need is 40 if they're on the flip side of the filibuster. Will they do that? Oh, come on. No, they're not going to get 40 Democratic senators to come in and filibuster a deal that the president has made. Now, Howard Feynman is writing for the Huffington Post that maybe the House will say no. Because right now, of course, Democrats still control the House, and progressives in the House are pissed about this, and they really are itching for a fight, and maybe they'll say no. But you know what's going to happen is that the Republicans will then say yes, and they'll flip the blue dog Democrats, etc., and they'll get enough votes, and it'll pass. Look, when the tax cuts are going to go to the rich, when the rich are about to get paid, it's a steamroller, man. You're not going to stop it. They're going to find an excuse all of a sudden. No, they can do filibusters, but we can't. Oh, they don't have the votes. We don't have the votes. What can we do? Now, wait a minute. Now, I just told you that the conventional wisdom is shifting, and maybe some senators are looking to fight. So why am I not that hopeful? Okay, well, two things. One, earlier in the weekend, we found out that Obama said, and I love this. See, this is what I'm talking about with the fake fights, right? Obama sends out, a couple of insiders from the White House to talk to the press, and they say, oh, no, but Obama's going to get really tough because he's not just going to give in to them, he's going to want concessions back, like extending unemployment. And the START Treaty. As a frustrated Democratic senator said off the record, that's their effing treaty in the first place, right? It's not like that's a big concession. And then number two, on the unemployment, well, that's a separate fight you could win easily anyway. Be like, some of my bitches are against unemployment benefits. Okay, I'm on this side, they're on that side. Let's go. Let's have at it. But Obama cannot fight. He can't fight. He's I got to fight. Runs for the corner, right? So he's like, oh, I got a deal. They gave me something else that I would have had a massive political victory over. Congratulations, right? So that was earlier in the weekend, and today, right before we got on air, latest report. A little suspense? No. Of course, Obama is continuing to cave in. The caving continues. It's caving in all around us. So Obama White House putting out, sources saying to reporters, we're on the precipice, we're a call away from making the deal. Yes, we will extend the tax cuts for the rich for another 2 years, but here are the things we got in return. Get ready to laugh. Number one, they got more tax cuts in return. But wait a minute. We were worried about the tax cuts and what they did to the deficit. They said, no, these are the tax cuts we like. Okay, you like them. I'm not sure I like them, but these are supposed to be more stimulative. Here, for example, we've got a 2% employee side payroll tax credit, okay? That costs another $120 billion, which I'm not in favor of. And he's got another $40 billion in tax breaks for families and students, including a $1,000 child tax credit extended for 2 years. And plus, for all businesses, you get to expense 100% of your outdated equipment. You can do that as a write-off right away. So this is tax cut on top of tax cut, on top of tax cut, on top of tax cut. But they're not done. It turns out the Republicans got something else that they wanted that I didn't even realize was in the ballgame. The estate tax. That gets cut down to 35%. And they cutoff is raised all the way up to $5 million. So until $5 million, you don't get taxed as zero. The first dollar above $5 million, that rate is lowered to 35%. And plus we got unemployment benefits extended. By the way, here's another comical part of this. For only 13 months. The tax cuts for the rich are extended for 2 years. Unemployment, only 13 months. Okay? They say because unemployment costs too much. The tax cuts for the rich cost 10 times as much. Oh, who cares? That's for the rich. So this is the final deal that the Obama administration is bragging about. What a terribly sad joke. You know what the final cost of it in terms of tax cuts over the next 2 years is? Just as parts that were negotiated now, not even the main body of the middle class tax cuts. The extra tax cuts are $215 billion. And that's a victory? And by the way, when that goes straight to the bottom line and straight to add it to the deficit, what are the Republicans going to do and turn around? They're going to turn around and say, oh, you see that? Obama added to the deficit. Does anybody watching right now think they won't? Anybody, Republican or Democrat. And then Obama will go, but I didn't deficit. No, but you wanted the tax cut. And the Republicans will say, hey, but you agreed to it. Didn't you, sucker? And he's going to say, oh. In fact, here comes the final punchline. Here's a White House senior administration official talking to Huffington Post, and he says the rationalizations have already set in. He's already defending the Republican position. He says, quote, this will help jolt the economy. So buying hook, line, and sinker into the idea that tax cuts for millionaires and billionaires help the economy when every economist, congressional budget office, nonpartisan, say no, it is the worst stimulant for the economy. It's the worst way that that the government can spend money. But no, here is the Democratic president buying hook, line, and sinker into the Republican idea that it's going to jolt the economy. But I haven't gotten to the punchline yet. Here it is. He continues. And 2012 will be about whether or not we can afford to borrow more money from China for tax breaks for the rich. So he's saying, look, since this is going to come up in 2 years, it's going to be right before Obama's election. And that's when we're going to talk about whether we can borrow more from China to give more to the rich. But that's what you just agreed to do right now. Why is that? Why is 2012 about that? Shouldn't 2010 be about that? And he concludes by saying, that's what 2012 will be about. And that's an argument we will be happy to make. Oh, you'll be happy to make that argument, will you? Well, you didn't seem very happy to make it now. In fact, you seem scared to death to make that argument now. But all of a sudden, I'm going to believe that in 2012 you're going to lambs will turn into lions? And you'll say, oh, then we're going to fight on tax cuts for the rich. You wait. Well, if you really believe that, why don't you fight now? Well, that leaves us only one conclusion. If you claim you believe that and you won't fight now, the only conclusion is it's because you're scared. Very, very sad. Look, I'm getting to the point where I'm almost going to pound the gavel. This guy is helplessly weak. We're this close to the point where you say there's no return. There's no hope. There's no, all of a sudden he turns it around, etc. The only hope we have to hang our hat on today is that Washington conventional wisdom has shifted. And, that's the only thing that Obama cares about. And if the guys in Washington are yelling at him, then he'll get scared by them, and then maybe we'll have to react to that. But as I look at him now, I think, oh my God, what have we done? We put a guy in charge who's never going to fight, doesn't even necessarily believe in our positions, and then is characterized as far left. He has redefined what used to be fairly right-wing, okay, not even just a little center-right, but fairly right-wing, to socialist. They've moved the scale so far that Obama, who is a right-winger, in my opinion, is now, that's considered the far end of the spectrum. Look, by the way, you think that's extreme talk? Let me prove it to you. Joe Scarborough said, again on the program this morning, he said, the Republicans have been getting beat up on tax cuts for the rich for at least the last 10 years, but much longer, 30, 50 years, right? 10 years ago, the Democrats filibustered the tax cuts for the rich. The Democrats fought the tax cuts for the rich tooth and nail. Bush, if you remember, actually had to do reconciliation to pass the tax cuts for the rich. And it's to get past the filibuster. They had to bend the rules and barely got it passed with 50-51 senators, okay? They got Dick Cheney, of course, breaking ties for them back in the day. So that Democratic Party, which got steamrolled by Bush, that was so weak back then, now are lions compared to the Democrats now. The Democrats over the last 10 years have gone so much further to the right, they're agreeing with tax cuts for the rich, and they become even weaker. How weak can you get? There seems to be no bounds to it. All right, let's take a quick break here, and then I'm going to come back and look. There's the issue of what we could have done with these tax cuts, et cetera, et cetera. I hope to get to that. But I got to rip apart this writer for the New York Times. One of the worst articles ever written. I'll explain why. Young Turks. All right, back on the Young Turks. I have found my members list. It was in Jenk's box. All right, maybe we'll explain that in the postgame. All right, let me thank some members here. Let's go with, where's my man there? Zapata? All right, let's go with Karen Ball. Lieutenant Karen Ball rocks the world. We appreciate it. She is a lieutenant, of course, at Rebel Headquarters. And then I am going to go with, I am going to be the cop that stops it. Greg Shrout, member number 2053, joined up on September 8th of 2009. Greg, you rock. Karen, you rock. It's good to have the members list back. Okay. All right, also in the postgame, Jackson versus Uger. We took it to the basketball courts this weekend. Who came out the victor? Think about it. Furthermore, I have 28 clips we didn't get to, which I love, including the one sane Republican. We'll show you who that is. That's in the postgame. Okay? Let's go.
All right. So there's this group called Advocates for Youth, and they just launched a campaign about comprehensive sex education. They basically want to equip the youth with useful tools so they can protect themselves against unwanted pregnancy, AIDS, things like that. I don't know why I randomly chose AIDS, but diseases.
They're also against gonorrhea and syphilis. Definitely against them.
Anyway, so they actually just came out with this video that they created to make fun of abstinence-only education. And the video is funny because they're using actual content from abstinence-only courses. All right, so let's watch the video and we'll discuss.
What did you learn in abstinence-only class today?
First the teacher passed around a rose and had us each take off a petal. Then she said the rose was now like someone who has had sex before marriage. They lose their beauty and value.
Well, that is a little troubling.
Then she told us that having sex is like reaching into a bag of candy where some of it has been chewed and spit back into the bag. Who would ever want used candy?
Really? Someone who has had sex is the same as partially chewed and spit out candy?
That's what we learned. Then she told us to imagine a really gross toothbrush that a lot of people have used. If you've had sex, use the toothbrush.
That is awful.
The next thing was the speaker gave me a sign that said virgin. Then she had everyone spit in a cup. She passed me the cup.
No. Please don't say it.
Then she asked me to drink the spit.
No, no, no. Why? Why would anyone do this?
She said that's what losing your virginity is like.
Like drinking a cup full of other people's spit.
Yes.
I can't.
That's way too funny, man. I know they're delivering a serious message, but no, no, no. Please do not tell me. Oh, no.
We gotta clip that in the soundboard.
Yeah, that's true. That's
Every
true.
time Cenk goes on one of his rants, I could push it.
Oh, no, no, no. Please don't.
Please don't do that.
That's classy, because in case anyone has already had sex in that class, they'll feel really great about that.
Right.
Whether
Because
you're
they're
chewed up candy.
or a flower with its petals missing,
Yeah.
or a used up toothbrush, or a cup full of spit.
By the way, also, look at their view of virgins, right? They view it as like, oh, like that's the ultimate thing. Can you imagine if you had a flower and it looks so pretty and it had all the petals on? Like, all right, perv, bring it down, you know? Or maybe we could have a sane discussion about protecting yourself during sex, which you're eventually going to do whether you're married or unmarried. You see what
Right.
I'm saying?
Yes.
You might need to know that stuff even after you get married. Crazy, right?
Yeah, and you know what's interesting? So after you do get married, let's say that you do exactly what the right wingers want you to do, and you save it until marriage, and then when you get married, you have sex. Are you still a beautiful flower, or are you?
No.
You're an ugly flower because you've had sex, but it's okay because you're married.
Right. It's okay, but you're still the cup of saliva. But at least only one guy spit into the cup.
Correct.
Not a whole bunch of guys. God, how much do they hate their bodies? How much do they hate being human beings?
Mm-hmm.
How much do they hate like what God created? Right? God
Yeah.
created. If you believe in God, God created us with this nature, and we're driven obviously to have sex, and
Right.
sometimes with different partners. But they hate that, and they're like, no, don't do that. You are saliva.
In fact, if you believe in God and you love what He created, you should have as much sex as possible. I mean, use a condom.
Look, I didn't say she did, but I couldn't agree more. Right? Look, you're just exercising what the Lord has given you. Look, people get upset about that because it's so funny. Because like people have this image that God is against sex, or well, outside of marriage. Then once you're inside marriage, He's totally in favor of it. I love it. All right, I got to stop on God because it always amuses me. Like, oh no, hey, stop it, Johnny, stop it, okay? Oh, you're married? Oh, that's cool. Keep going. I'm amused by what people think God cares about. Okay, yes.
All right. During the weekend, Chelsea Handler had a stand-up show where she was talking about Angelina Jolie. And of course, this is a stand-up. This is comedy. But she's received a lot of criticism about what she said about Angelina Jolie. So I'm going to read you the part that was controversial. All of the videos have been taken off the internet for some reason. But I'm going to read you what she said about Angelina Jolie, and I might censor myself a little bit. She says, she can rescue as many babies from as many countries as she wants to. I don't fucking believe you. She gives interviews. I don't have a lot of female friends. Because you're a fucking, see you next Tuesday, you're a fucking bitch.
damn, she's got to calm down.
She goes on, okay, but hold on. She goes on to talk about how Angelina Jolie is a man stealer, and of course women aren't going to like you because you go around stealing men, like, you know, going on and on and on. But who cares? It's a comedy, okay? She's obviously doing stand-up, and B, it's absolutely true.
Oh, you're crazy. No.
But no. Okay, hold on. I don't have anything against Angelina Jolie. I don't care. But is she a husband stealer? Yeah, she broke up a freaking marriage, and she's with him now.
I mean, she technically, right? But on the other hand,
not technically, 100%. Why?
No,
okay,
look.
Why
But that's not on Angelina Jolie. That's on Brad Pitt. If he loved Jennifer Aniston, he should have kept it in his pants. Okay, and now look. Don't get me wrong. On Chelsea Handler, right? Not guilty. She's a comedian. Get over it. Okay, She's doing comedy. I'm not going to evaluate whether her comedy was offensive or not offensive, unless it's like a zillion percent. Unless it's Michael Richards shouting the N-word 28 times in a row. Whatever. I don't give a damn if you liked her joke or you didn't. Oh, you were offended by her joke. Piss off, right? Now, on her substance, though, I don't agree with it at all. I mean, she adopts little babies. I mean, maybe she's doing it for all, you know, for her own psychological needs, but in the end, it's still a good thing.
No. I'm not even talking about whether or not she adopts babies and whether or not that's a good thing. I'm not even touching that. But the thing that people are like woo about is the fact that she said that Angelina Jolie is a husband stealer. Is she a husband stealer? Technically, yes. So why is that so? Why is that a controversial?
No. Nobody's husband.
And I'm not giving Brad Pitt a pass either, okay? But did she play a role in breaking up a marriage? Yes. How are you going to deny that?
I'm going to deny it because, A, we don't know what happened in that room at all. We don't know if Angelina Jolie made googly eyes at Brad Pitt and was like, oh, how you doing? Oh, don't worry about Jennifer. All right? Or if Brad Pitt was all over her, you know, and he pursued her to no end. You don't know that. And then number two, it's never that person's responsibility. It's always the husband's responsibility. Okay? So Brad Pitt could have chosen not to get stolen. He didn't get he walked out. It's him, it's not her. Do you see what I'm saying? So that's my view on it. So Chelsea, I'm both against you and for you at the same time.
Right. Hold on, one more little wrinkle in this story.
Wrinkle.
Okay. Chelsea Handler actually is very good friends with Jennifer Aniston. They vacationed together recently.
Of course. Nonetheless, you get the pardon on the jokes, and you know what? You're sticking up for your girlfriend. God bless. You get a second pardon for that.
Girl.
I don't necessarily agree with you, but I enjoy that last little wrinkle. I don't know why this is a wrinkle. Why is that a wrinkle? Okay. All right. Is that it? Are we done?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay. Listen.
We got Richard Wolff coming in.
We do. Everybody watch out. We're going to have an interesting conversation because, look, there's not that many people in the country that have talked to Barack Obama more than Richard Wolff has. So let's see what he's got to say about that. And then also in the third hour, the clips, Glenn Beck calling a large percentage of Muslims terrorists, and the Scarborough clips. A lot more show coming up. Come right back.